source for COVID-19 testing kits from abroad.
Led by their chairperson, Governor Wycliffe Oparanya, the 13 counties which are currently categorized as red zones and the COVID-19 containment protocols argue that conducting rapid tests is the surest way to assess the scope of coronavirus transmission at the community level.
Well, the positivity rate is now at 8.7%. At the same time, the country has 23 patients who succumbed to the virus, and all of them being late deaths.
A task force has been established mandated to assess COVID-19 situation in the Lake Region Economic Bloc that has been marked as a hotspot of coronavirus infections. The team, comprising eminent persons of various professional backgrounds, will advise the leadership of the 13 counties which form the Lake Region Economic Bloc on the best approach to manage the pandemic.
An LREP coordination response team to be constituted immediately to undertake regional inter-county tasks. Governors to hold immediate in-house meeting for a concrete regional plan to fight COVID-19 in a joint manner.
But if the national government can work with us in the counties, we have consulted the two of us, including our experts, that we are capable of setting aside some resources to buy rapid test kits from abroad. You can get a rapid test kit from South Korea for about $3, and we can set up some money aside to buy a rapid test kit, but we need permission from the national government.
It's no longer about waiting for government to do something to you. This is about us as human beings taking action through ensuring that the protocols that we have been told are put in place.
This as the fight against COVID-19 received a shot in the arm following the arrival of 360,000 COVID shield doses into the country. Health Principal Secretary Susan Mochache said the AstraZeneca vaccines donated by the Danish government will boost the ongoing second dose immunization exercise that commenced late last month.
In the next coming weeks, we'll be receiving some additional vaccines from the COVAX facility. About 180,000 vaccines will be coming into the COVAX facility to now add on to what we have already received. We are also aware that the U.S. government has also offered to donate some vaccines, and Kenya is among the few countries that have already been identified to receive those vaccines.
Moving on, President Uhuru Kenyatta has voiced the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States concerns regarding the increasing number of unilateral discussions by the European Union targeted at the multilateral institution member nations.
President Kenyatta regretted that the EU does not sufficiently engage the OASPS before taking some of its decisions contrary to the provisions of the Cotonou Agreement.
President Kenyatta, who is the president in office of the summit of the 79th member institution since 2019, said such decisions by EU were unnecessarily made and contravened Cotonou Agreement.
I share the concern of affected OACPS member states that the unilateral approach adopted by the EU is against the spirit of the post-Cotonou Partnership Agreement.
On the blacklisting of all ACPS countries on grounds of deficiency in anti-money laundering and financing of terrorism, the president said his office had unsuccessfully raised the matter with the highest levels of the EU's hierarchy.
The unilateral application of measures, including sanctions by the EU, indeed as imposed on Burundi, has created sensitivities and concerns within our group.
President Kenyatta, who is on a two-day official visit of Belgium and the European Union, spoke on Tuesday in Brussels when he addressed a meeting of the OACPS Committee of Ambassadors. Early in the day, President Uhuru Kenyatta and European Council President Charles Michelin unveiled a strategic dialogue framework through which they seek to step up their bilateral relations. In a joint statement released on Monday evening between Kenya and EU, agreed to cooperate more in domestic, regional and global interests such as democracy, governance and human rights.
From Brussels, let's come back home and take you to the county in Baringo, where police have arrested a man who went underground after killing two very close relatives with poisonous arrows over land disputes.
Baringo County OCPD Francis Gashoki said the suspect shot dead his elder brother and his sister-in-law after he was allegedly denied to sell his parcel of land.
Kisa hicho kilichotokea
Let's now take you to Isiolo, where a section of county leaders have dismissed reports that the Sunday morning attack at Madowale village, that's in Marti sub-county, that left 3 women and 2 men dead was as a result of conflicts over water and pasture.
Speaking when they visited the bereaved families, Isiolo members of County Assembly and officials from the county executive urged Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i to deploy adequate security in the area and bring the perpetrators of the attack to book. The Sunday dawn attackers also set on fire their Dololo Wachu generator.
Area Modoga, Shelera kuna vita, Saidi ya Basa kuna vita. Na hii si mambo ya maji ama mambo ya nyasi. Hii ni mambo ya ardhi. Tunashangaa. Hii watu huwa wanakujanga hapa. Hii sehemu iko karibu only they are 100 km away from this place. Wanakuja hapa wakati mwingine wanalisha ng'ombe yao hapa, ngamia yao hapa. Na hii sasa wakati kama hii, wakati watu wanafaa kukaa pamoja na amani na kuchunga ng'ombe yao wakati ya shida kama hii.
Tunaambia serikali kuu. Hii ni function ya national government. Lazima amani ipatikane. Lazima tuwe na security ya kutosha. Mahali tuko na mahali jirani wetu wako ni kama kilomita 15 mahali tuko saizi. Na wale wanatoka hapo tu wanakuja kutumaliza hapa na wanarudi pale. Na serikali iko. Na serikali lazima ifanye hatua ya kwamba hii watu wapatikane.
There's an item here in education. The government has launched a 500 billion shilling global partnership for education renewal campaign aimed at the transformation of the education sector.
And Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha says the kitty has improved learning environment in the country through acquisition of textbooks and training of more than 100,000 mathematics teachers under the competence-based curriculum.
Speaking when he unveiled the 2021-2025 GPE refreshment campaign, Professor Magoha described GPE's support as a milestone that has improved the learning environment in Kenya.
Under the GPE-funded school improvement program, learning environment of the at least 4,000 previously low-performing has improved.
This well-organized central procurement of textbooks has led to a cost reduction on expenditure of books by up to 70%. The good practice under GPE has been adopted by the government, which has enabled us to distribute more than 60 million textbooks to public primary and secondary schools to date. Thanks to this arrangement, we now have achieved a ratio of 1-to-1 learner textbook ratio. The Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KFCB, has utilized GPE funds to develop curriculum designs for competency-based curriculum in primary teacher education and enhance remote learning interventions. We believe that this campaign will help us to come up with resources to address the widespread disruptions to learning that have been caused by the COVID-19 pandemic.
And on to politics now. Maendeleo Chap party leader Alfred Mutua has challenged political leaders to focus on ensuring citizens access government service equitably, irrespective of their political affiliation.
Mutua has blamed political marginalization on the widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. This as Kitui County Governor Charity Ngilu advised ODM leader Raila Odinga and his Wiper Party counterpart Kalonzo Musyoka to bury the hatchet and join hands towards clinching the presidency come 2022.
The Machakos governor, who was meeting Maendeleo Chapchap Party grassroots officials in Lamu town, said to defeat poverty, Kenya should focus on industrialization and development of quality workforce. He said developed nations achieved their status through equity in distribution of resources rather than ethnic-driven political power games.
Inchi ambazo zinachunga wananchi wao hawahitaji handshake, hawahitaji BBI. Hizi BBI zimekuja hapa ndio tuweze kuokoa hali yetu ya maisha ambayo imekuwa ya magumu sana ya kiuchumi. Kwa hivyo tukijali mambo ya kiuchumi, mambo ya pesa, mambo yaendelee vizuri, utakuta ya kwamba BBI inakuwa ni automatic.
While Kitui Governor Ngilu has expressed confidence that a united NASA stood a better chance of sailing one of their own into State House in the impending general polls.
Lakini tukisema kila mmoja anaenda peke yake, tulijaribu hiyo njia. Nilikuwa huko. 92 tulikuwa kila mtu anaenda kivyake, 97 kila mtu anaenda kivyake. Tunashindwa na Nyayo. 2002 tulikuwa pamoja. Tukashinda Nyayo na Uhuru mara moja. Sasa hawa wanataka kurepeat kitu ambacho tulifanya kwa nini?
Meanwhile, embattled Kisii County Assembly Speaker David Kombo took control of the House Tuesday after 8 months of infighting by ward reps who had been battling to have him impeached. Speaking to 30 ward reps who turned up for the session, Kombo urged them to set aside their differences and begin working. Suleimanieri, Prime Edition.
Well, in the roundup, the government has begun a massive security operation in Longomont Forest and its environs within Mau Complex that's in Joro Sub-County in a bid to smoke out cattle rustlers.
The move follows a series of fresh clashes in the area between two warring communities attributed to cattle theft, which had so far claimed 3 lives. And details in our county news roundup.
From the Rapid Deployment Unit and the Kenya's Forest Service have been deployed to the Mau complex in Joro Sub-County to ensure no human activities are conducted in the forest. The operations follows the killing of 3 young men last Sunday by suspected cattle rustlers.
Lazima tuchukue hii mambo, hakuna wizi wa mifugo, mwizi ni mwizi, ashikwe bila kujali kabila yake.
And the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, Amnesty International Kenya and Transparency International Kenya have come out to condemn the summary dismissal of Spencer Sankale Ololchike. Spencer, who worked as an acting finance chief at the Maasai Mara University, was sacked for being a whistleblower of a corruption scandal at the institution.
University Council to immediately and unconditionally reinstate Spencer Sankale Ololchike.
The actions of whistleblowers and witnesses is the patriotic act of a defense of a nation to move us from 124 out of 180.
Meanwhile, the Kenya Film and Classification Board will now be monitoring film content creators on YouTube to ensure renewal of operations licenses on time. This was revealed by KFCB Chief Executive Officer Ezekiel Mutua during the official launch of the new KFCB website.
But the small guys who are still trying to market themselves, we can advise them, we can help them, we can give them gratis licenses. Students in schools, we can give them gratis licenses, engage with them.
Elsewhere, Tingera residents are up in arms of the deplorable state of the old Namanga Road, faulting the contractor engaged by the county government to rehabilitate the road for doing a shoddy job.
Sasa sisi tunataka hii barabara irudishwe jinsi ilivyokuwa ama itengenezwe ama iwekwe lami.
Well, we're going to take a short break at this point, and we apologize for a story we ran earlier on, the Baringo story where police arrested a man who went underground after killing 2 of his close relatives. We hope to get that sorted out. Let's take a break at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Stay with us. We are coming back with much more.
Je, unajua kuwa hata kama mapato yako ya kawaida yameathirika, bado unaweza kuzungumza na mtoa huduma wako wa bima na kubadilisha sera yako kuwa sera ya kulipwa? hutaweza kulipa ada zaidi na bima yako bado itawajibika kwa mafao yanayolipwa chini ya chaguo hili. Sasa umejua, IRA, bima bora kwa taifa.
Bwana Motiso, pikipiki yako ndio hii. Uko shwani yangu. Hii pikipiki ni unakumbuka uniekelea the lowest unique bid yako ilikuwa ngapi? 18 shillings. Na unajua kuendesha hii gari? Kidogo. Haya, kitoko yako shika helmet, kifungu yako chomoka na mali yako.
Kujiunga na QuickBid ni rahisi. Enda kwenye M-Pesa, bonyeza paybill kisha weka business number 4032353. Kwenye account weka kodi ya bidhaa unayotaka na bid yako ya chini zaidi. Kwa mfano TV 16. Kisha weka shilingi 20 tu kama idadi yako. Weka bid yako pia kwenye www.quickbid.co.ke. Kumbuka, bid ya chini zaidi ya kipekee ndio hununua. QuickBid, bidhaa bora kwa bei ya chini.
Our legends, your legends, and now they're back on your screen.
There's nowhere like home after 31 years. What a feeling.
Karibu kwa taarifa zetu za leo. Mimi ni Badi Mohsin.
Bringing you news you can trust.
Ungana nasi kwenye taarifa zetu za humu nchini, ugaibuni na hata kwenye safu za spoti.
Join us every Saturday on KBC Darubini and KBC Channel 1 News as we bring you comprehensive news coverage presented by the trailblazers of newscasting in Kenya.
Mwenda Tesi na Omo, marejeo ngamani.
The Legends News Edition on KBC Channel 1 every Saturday.
If you have been in contact with someone who is suspected or has tested positive for COVID-19, self-quarantine for 14 days and call 7194 for help. Self-quarantine restricts movement and the spread of the disease and protects your family, friends, and community from being infected. During self-quarantine, you are advised to stay in a separate room, disinfect surfaces and clothing with appropriate disinfectant, avoid sharing household items, including utensils, towels, and beddings, do not receive visitors, wear an appropriate face mask if you must be around other people. COVID-19 is preventable. Protect yourself, family, and the community. This message has been brought to you by the Government of Kenya and its partners.
Utakaje? Mimi kutoka kwako. Labda ufe.
Tuheshimiane. Tena tuheshimiane sana.
Weketi ninavyokuangalia. Ukipata nafasi ya kuingia hapa kwenye hii nyumba kuishi basi ndio hutoki tena.
Natuliona nini? Chafua mama, usikubali akakaa hapa, usikubali kabisa.
Ipepete. Yo, mambo vipi watu wangu popote pale mlipo, nasema asanteni sana jamaa kwa kujiunga na mimi kila wakati kupitia kipindi Top Mashariki kupitia Channel 1, au sio? Nambari 1 mtu wangu nchini Kenya, KBC. Kama vipi mtu wangu, nasema asanteni sana jamaa. Kumbukeni kwamba Top Mashariki kuanzia hii wiki, yani this coming week mazee, itakuwa inakujia kila siku ya Jumanne saa 4 usiku. Yani katika mpango mzima ni Jumanne kuanzia saa 4 usiku. Top
story of all time continues to shape our world.
He will lead us to a new home. He has promised descendants as numerous as the stars.
Helps define who we are, how we live, how we love, how we struggle and overcome. This is the Bible.
This is Prime Edition. Thank you so much for staying with us. Welcome back.
Just like in the case of human beings, animal orphans too require basic care, such as provision of food, shelter, and in some instances, clothing.
The animal orphanage at the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy in Nanyuki, Laikipia County is offering exactly that to the minor bereft until they are mature enough for release into the wilderness.
She was in Nanyuki specifically to visit the disadvantaged young animals, and she came back with the following report: the minor bereft.
Our journey to Nanyuki in Laikipia County is advised by reports of escalating numbers of orphaned wild animals in the Mount Kenya forest, mainly caused by poaching. While animal species such as turtles may not need parental care to survive, majority do. Their survival will be threatened in the absence of their parents and without proper care. The animal orphanage at the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy is giving the orphaned, injured, neglected, abused, or frightened wild animals a second chance.
So far we have around 28 species here, and in total there are 51 animals here in our care, some of which might, once we are notified that there is an animal, it's a responsibility of Kenya Wildlife Service to give that animal to us.
The orphanage, which was established in 1967, provides shelter, treatment, and professional care with a goal to release these creatures back into the wilderness where they belong.
We've been able to release some of the competent animals back to the wild. Recently we had an eagle here which had broken the wing. We managed to treat the wing, she recovered properly. We released in the wild.
Those with permanent disabilities are not allowed to leave the orphanage. Like Catherine, an eland or an African antelope who was rescued after she was unable to cope in the wilderness.
She's lame in one of the hind limbs, so I think that gives her a disadvantage to remain in the wild the other side, because you have to walk for long distances to look for food. So once she has done mating, she feels safe to come back here.
Catherine is happy to have found home at this animal rescue center.
She finds peace here. It's a familiar area where she is. She finds food. We give her food when she comes here. When she goes out, she eats grass. But when she's here, we give her food.
While this is Patricia, she's struggling to walk. She injured one of her feet during a mating fight with a male ostrich.
She stepped into a hole on the ground and she injured her foot, so that her foot healed with that permanent disability. Patricia cannot now properly live in the wild.
Like Catherine, Patricia will remain here permanently.
Staying in a place like this, it improves and improves her quality of life, but also increases the chances of survival.
It's hard to believe that this inquisitive young Thompson's gazelle was once so emaciated that she could barely stand. The precious Thompson's gazelle was saved from starvation by a 7-year-old boy from Rumuruti.
The mother is suspected to have either been predated upon by a predator or poached, so leaving behind a very little baby which was like 1 day old.
The goat and the beautiful gazelle were brought together by fate.
It so happened that also the Maasai boy, his goat had delivered and lost the baby. So he was there also depressed, and as he was grazing, he encounters a gazelle a baby gazelle wandering around with no mother.
The boy, his goat, and the gazelle had established a strong bond such that even when the officers from the Kenya Wildlife Service KWS picked the wild gazelle to rehabilitate it, the three were left devastated.
The boy loved the gazelle and loved the goat, to see that the goat was giving a baby gazelle a second chance. So they stayed together for almost a month until the story reached Kenya Wildlife Service. So Kenya Wildlife Service went and actually picked the goat, the gazelle.
The goat and the gazelle were shortly reunited after each was unable to cope without the other.
The family offered to us to take the goat also if we want, to make sure that the baby gazelle is looked after and does not die.
And now she depends on the goat milk to survive. The story of the goat, the Thompson's gazelle, and the 7-year-old boy was so beyond belief. Therefore, we decided to visit the boy at his parents' home in Rumuruti. He was already at the field taking care of his goat and sheep when we arrived. Sau Lesibia was happy to see the officers from the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy. He knew it was about his goat and baby gazelle.
I saw a baby gazelle under a tree. It was lonely. I decided to rescue her. I felt really bad when it was taken away. I am happy it is safe. We were shocked when we saw Sau with the baby gazelle. After he narrated to us what had transpired, we allowed him to take care of the gazelle.
From their story, it is clear Sau is the reason the baby gazelle is alive today. With more people like this 7-year-old boy who help the conservationists locate the disadvantaged and orphaned animals in the wild and preserve them in special homes such as the Mount Kenya Wildlife Conservancy, then the world will be able to address the challenge of a special species extinction. Purity Museo, Channel 1 News in Mutonyi, Laikipia County. This is Eco Watch. Thank you so much for staying with us. And of course, my very first guest is the Chief Conservator of Forest. I love that name. Maybe what is the qualification of becoming one? Because I know it's about forest conservation. Julius Kamau, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'll start with that. Because the uniform conservation of forest, what are the qualifications if I want to become one? And can I?
Yes. First, you have to have the passion towards nature. And also that has to be measured through a qualification of having a bachelor's degree in forestry, but also perhaps another additional master's degree in related field. Then with that combination, you could perhaps have a chance of becoming the Kenya Forestry #1.
And share your uniform or get mine.
Yes, and then undergoing some certain training. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this day that the world is celebrating the Rainforest Day. Maybe let's begin with why is this day important? I know rainforest conservation and climate change, they just go along. You know, maybe let's talk about the importance of the World Rainforest Day.
I think it's a very, very important day, and it's a day that is set out by the nations and the community of nations to allow the communities of people and nations and the globe and the world to mark this day in terms of celebrating this day, and more so important to encourage some actions that go towards protecting our rainforests in the world. And basically, as we speak, initially the rainforest normally occupied about 14%, but that has reduced to about 6% of the Earth surface, and therefore it tells you they are at a serious threat, and therefore it's important for the nations, and for this case the Kenyans now, to protect the rainforest that we have in the country because of the critical role they play in terms of ecological. They are more of like the thermostat for the earth in terms of controlling and regulating the temperatures. They also are very good in terms of regulating the rainfall regimes because they have a capacity of allowing 50% of the rains that fall in the canopies to go back to evapotranspiration to form rains.
Right. When you talk about reduction from 14% to 6%, is it in Kenya, globally, and is that why Kenya is on the road to getting to the recommended 10%?
Yeah, that is globally. That's globally that is what has happened. But also in the country, as we speak, also they have faced similar threats. So even in the country, we also have some reduction on the rainforests, and that's why it's critical to actually now using this platform also, thanks to Kenya, KBC, because this is one way of creating awareness to the millions of Kenyans, wherever they are, to make sure that they protect these forest resources because they are critical to the environment and also to their own life being.
And as we speak as a country, how many gazetted hectares of forest do we have? What are we talking about?
Yeah, if we draw that to our mandate as a Kenya Forest Service, I would say that we are, on the premise of the Forest Conservation Management Act, we are supposed to take care of about 2.59 million hectares of public forests. And beyond that also, we have a mandate to work together with the county government in terms of providing the technical capacity to the county government to be able to manage another 1.7 million hectares of the community forest under their jurisdiction. Beyond that, of course, we know there are private forests, also in individual farms, and also the county government and ourselves have a role to ensure that those forests also are managed in a sustainable way.
The 2.5 million, is it sufficient? Because I know we always see the top 10, largest rainforest, we have Amazon. Yes. Is it enough to place us as a country on the global level? And maybe what are some of the hindrances to achieving that?
I think first of all we have to appreciate that we have unique rainforests in Kenya, which are of global importance because they host some specific wildlife and flora which are unique to this country. And for example, is the Kakamega forest. It is the only remaining what we call the Guinea Congorian kind of an ecosystem that is used to run a belt from the coast of West Africa to the East Africa, and therefore it's a unique ecosystem. We also have other tropical rainforests in the country, and it's not enough. It's not enough because we need to create more space for forestry because of what it has to do to maintain a health integrity that can sustain life in the country. As you may appreciate that we normally draw our water from the water catchment areas, and these are the 5 major water towers, and therefore this country is a water scarce country, and therefore we have to broaden the spaces for forest conservation to ensure that we supply enough water for the country, but also more so provide mitigation measures because between extreme weather conditions of floods and also drought, and because forestry create a very good mitigation factor between swinging from one disaster to another disaster, and that also speaks to the issues of the climate change and the impact that we face. And therefore we as a country have to grow this forest cover to more than 10%, I would believe, to be able to sustain life and livelihoods of the Kenyan people, and also with our own wildlife that we normally have as a country.
And you'll shortly tell us how we'll be able to do that. But when we talk about rainforest, is it a normal forest? What kind of a forest is this? I know you've mentioned the importance of it, but let's re-emphasize on why it's important for a country to pride itself in having such forests.
I think one of the thing of a rainforest is that is a forest that gives us the best of the ecological importance or ecological benefit, social benefit, cultural benefit, and also economic benefit. In a sense, a rainforest would have 4 segments. It would have what we call the emergent layer. The emergent layer is the tallest trees that would possibly go to about 60 meters. Below that, you have the canopy. This is what makes you not see the ground if you are possibly flying over forest. And then under that, you will have what you call the other canopy cover, and then you have the forest floor. When you have this combination of these ecosystems within that forest ecosystem, it will give you the optimal benefit, both in terms of biodiversity that you may have, both flora and fauna. It allows you to possibly ecologically control the environment in terms of the climate because it absorbs carbon dioxide in a major way. It also allows you to control the rain regime because 50% of the rainfall that falls does not go in terms of runoff. It's actually go back in terms of evapotranspiration, which allow the rain regime to come in. And if you look at, for example, to break it to the Kenyan people, if you look at the Kakamega forest, it has a linkage with the lake basin, and it is the one that controls the rain regime between that western region. And most of the time you will see that we have rain in the western regime controlled and regulated by this kind of a critical ecosystem.
And it's true to say that the rainforests are actually the lungs of the planet.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So what does it mean if a country is not preserving, you know, the rainforest? You know, how dangerous can that be for a country?
It's very dangerous because what we are now compromising, as I supposed to talk about, is the issue of the climate regime. You have extreme weather, you have extended drought, and you don't have the rains. The other one would be the issue of the source of rain from these areas, because then it means that in a country, when it is dry, you have what we call seasonal rain, rivers, which means you cannot sustain our lives, especially when there is a dry period. Therefore, this is what we are compromising. The other thing we compromise is the diversity of animals and plants that we have in a country. For example, in Kakamega forest, about 10% to 20% of the tree species and animal species found there are not found anywhere else in the world. And therefore, it offers a country to be strategic with regards to what we call research tourism and also the confectional tourism, for people traveling across the country, outside the country, to come and see these unique kind of animal species. For example, in Kakamega, we have what we call the Kaimosi blind snake. People possibly not have it anywhere else. You have the Coloba's white and black monkey found there. You have the red-tailed monkey found there. You have very, very beautiful butterflies found there. So what we will be compromising is that we will be giving away our ecotourism potential for the country. We will be giving away the ecological system that support our agricultural system. We will be giving away the water system that support us for what we need to take for drinking, for irrigation, for hydropower, and for manufacturing in a country. And therefore, we should not lose that, because if you look at the Big Four agenda, the enabling environment is linked to how healthy our forest ecosystem is. And therefore, if we don't have a strong foundation with a proper environmental integrity, then actually you collapse the economy. You collapse all the agenda that we may have, and therefore that's why we must be able to reinvest our mind, take individual action, protect this ecosystem to protect our own lives.
And there have been a lot of conversations about climate change. Yes. The devolution conference is coming up, and the theme is about climate change. Maybe is it one of the achievements by the Kenya Forest Service that you get conversations going, and even the president says that maybe one of his agenda is to have Kenya attain the 10% forest cover. Let's talk about some of the achievements, and are you happy about that? 2 million trees by county governments by August.
Yeah, I think what we are happy about, and we must pride ourselves as Kenya Forest Service, is that we have been able to change the conversation. We have been able to get many Kenyans to work with us. We have been able to create awareness among Kenyans to know the importance of trees and the importance of forest. Indeed, it's not about Kenyans, also partners, and as you say, the county government. And if you look at how we are organized as Kenya Forest Service, in every county we have an ecosystem conservator and also someone who provide advisory and linkage between ourselves and the county government. Remember also, we sign what we call transition implementation plan between Kenya Forest Service and the county government. So far, about 35 counties have signed those plans, and now we are encouraging the other 12 remaining to sign with us. This will provide a very good environment. For the purpose of the conference that is coming on, and we are working together with the county governments. In fact, in most of the areas that you see planting of trees in the several counties that have been cited, mostly in the ASA areas, we have been working together with the county government to ensure that this commitment is met. And therefore, we are interested and we are very happy that the conversation about forest conservation has gotten to the highest level of government. It has gotten the attention, and with that we are able to create a mass of Kenyan people who can become ambassadors of conservation. And that is what we must be able to do, and tell them the future belongs to them. The young generation must take up this baton of conservation so that we preserve and we ensure that the gains we are having today are also met and they are also supplied to the future generations.
Yes. Allow me to take you back. Are we able to get to the 10% by maybe 2022, because that's the president's agenda? Or what are some of the setbacks to protecting the forest?
I think one of the starting point is that we have now a national strategy on 10% tree cover. This is a strategy that brings all the stakeholders together. All of us has a part to play. The national government has a part to play. The Kenya Forest Service has a role to play. The county government has. The schools have, and every other private sector and other agencies of government, we all can do something, including your individual actions at your household level. It is not, it's a question of getting 10%. It's a conversation that we must say, it's my individual action, it's my individual step that will take us there. Kenya Forest Service possibly would be the steward. It will provide that kind of a support, but we believe that we're working with the communities, individuals, and the entire government at all levels, we should be able to surpass the 10% recovery.
The country is joining the world to mark the Rainforest Day. Maybe what are some of the things that we can pride ourselves with as a country, and maybe what's your call to the country, the conservators like you, and everybody, because it's you know, it's a collective responsibility and efforts that will be able to attain the 10% and even beyond
Very
that.
true.
Yes.
I think we have used many approaches. One of it has been the tree planting and the tree growing campaign. But too, as Kenya Forest Service, we have been able to reclaim some of the public forests that are in the wrong hands, possibly irregularly occupied. And this far, we have been able to reclaim about 55,000 hectares of forest that were initially not in our hands. They were irregularly occupied, but now they are in our hands. Talk about the Mau, where we have been able to reclaim about 14,000 hectares. The Cheptais in Mount Elgon, about 7,000 hectares. In Samburu, Kilise-Rerogi Forest, reclaiming about 30,000 hectares. This is a major milestone. And what we are now doing is converting this forest land, which was bare, to back to the full canopy. And therefore, that to us is a very big contribution towards the movement of rainforest, celebration and marking that. Beyond that also is we have been able to gazette about 109,000 hectares, which forests were in other jurisdiction, but now they are classified as public gazetted forest. These are some of the things that we have been able to do. Beyond that, we have been able to engage with the communities, because unless we engage with the forest adjacent communities and we turn them to be our allies in conservation, we cannot be able to achieve. And therefore, we have gone out of actually investing some livelihood support programs with the forest adjacent communities, and they have perceived now Kenya Forest Service as a partner. And that way, they are able to help us to protect the remaining forest, but more so influence their behavior to also plant trees on their own farmland. And we have seen many Kenyans interested and joining us through the Adopt a Forest framework, where a partner would come to us, we give them the space, they plant the trees and grow the trees for 3-5 years, and then return that area to us. And we have seen so far about 30 ministries, department, agencies of government who have come and adopted a piece of a forest. About 22 or more private sector have also joined hands in us. And therefore, we are encouraging all people in this country to know that we have a responsibility to plant and grow trees for our own behalf and for the generations to come, so that we can put this country in a environmentally integrity position for sustainable development.
And the campaign is gaining momentum. I must appreciate that. Maybe are we looking at some, reforms at the Kenya Forest Service to just ensure that we achieve this, by the time that you've been able to set?
Yes, we have just set a very paradigm reforms in the Kenya Forest Service. One of it is the governance structure and how we engage with the communities and other partners. So we have trained and encouraged our field officers to now look at it from a perspective of engagement and the strength in engagement. The other thing also is we have developed new HR instruments. This is a human resource instrument to make sure that we have good number of officers joining us, but also doing what they should do and the right places. And I think the culture of also moving from the issue of unethical behavior to ethical behavior, so that as a country and as a staff of Kenya Forest Service, we can deliver the commitment that we have been given, the mandate by the government and the people of Kenya. And so far, we have seen even the image and the perception of Kenyans on the Kenya Forest Service and what we are doing has also gained momentum. And that's why we have many partners who are coming and knocking a door to us to work with us. If we were not performing, possibly we wouldn't have someone approaching us. But now the demand is there. And I think also we have done a major shift in terms of revamping our tree nurseries across the country. They were not in a very good situation, but now we are saying that you go to every station, you will see some seedlings that you can possibly buy, and we can engage together and we can plant them. And therefore, those are some of the things that we pride as Kenya Forest Service, that we are now becoming a center of excellence based on knowledge to drive this country to having sustainable forest management. And we thank the media and we thank the Kenyan public for actually joining hands and working with us, and even giving us information that help us to protect our forest resources, because we have threats in every day on our territories, but we have community members volunteering information, and we want to encourage Kenyans wherever they are. If they see an illegality, let them engage with us, and we're able to deter that, and also let them help us and complement each other to putting this country to where it should be.
Absolutely, and we wish you all the best. Honestly, we do, and thank you so much, Julius Kamau, the Chief Conservator of Forest. You are actually our first guest tonight with a new revamp, so it's a great pleasure to have you tonight.
We are honored too, and thank you so much, and wishing KBC all the best as we move forward.
Thank you so much, and of course that brings us to the end of our conversation tonight. Thank you for watching. We are taking a quick commercial break. When we return, business news is up next. Stay with us.
Did you know that a life policy can be used as an investment that provides for future savings paid upon maturity? Now you know. IRA, promoting insurance, protecting the insured.
To get Skizatune, Proverbs 3:5, dial *811 *961#.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not in your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 to 6.
To get Proverbs 3:5, dial *811 *961#, *811 *961#.
Get the VIP access to the best shows on KBC Channel 1. We have something different, something special to spice you up. Get ready for new, exciting and captivating dramas. Movies.
Love the smell.
Comedy.
I went to the Popos. Huh?
Drama.
Did he assault the Queen in my house, in my presence?
News, sports, and so much more. Do the things that make you happy on KBC Channel 1.
My name is Jeremy Wahome. I'm 22 years old, and I'll be taking part in the upcoming WRC Safari Rally event. I'll be driving the number 64 car with my navigator Victor Okundi. And this has all been made possible from being selected to be a part of the FIA Rally Star program. So I'm looking forward, definitely going to be putting my best foot forward. It's a very once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to get sponsored in motorsport. So I would like to make the most of this. And yeah, thank you for your support thus far, and let's go represent Kenya.
Welcome back. I'm Cynthia Nyamai. Now let's catch up with the business story of the day. Perceived risks is hampering uptake of leasing programs rolled out by the government as alternative financing options. To correct this, GAP Solutions Manager Director Gilbert Odadi is urging tech innovators to customize fleet and operation management technologies targeting both the motorized and non-motorized assets to drive uptake of leasing, especially in counties.
The national government initiated leasing of medical equipment under Managed Equipment Services project in 2015 as an alternative healthcare financing option to scale up health infrastructure for provision of specialized medical care. In subsequent years, leasing has been extended to motor vehicles with the aim of cutting costs and boosting service delivery in the counties.
But now, for these corporates that are leasing, they find more efficiency in that. And the other part I would say is there is also the parts flow down there. And now, as a funder on the bank side, this I was talking about on the leasing side, but on the bank side, there is a strong ecosystem. There is growth in those SMEs. And as they grow, obviously, they need the bankers.
despite being termed as a solution to the perennial funding challenges in government, where vehicles and equipment lay grounded for years for lack of funds to maintain or repair them. A majority of counties and private sector players remain skeptical, citing risk.
Vehicles have to be serviced within a period as per the schedule. Now, if a system comes with a way in which it be able to alert or inform whoever is concerned that the service for that vehicle equipment is almost due, and that way, therefore, you start preparing for that particular service, and you ensure that the vehicle doesn't go beyond the service, because in subcontracts for the leases, that comes with a penalty if you don't take the vehicle for service within the specified period.
Going forward, the National Treasury plans to roll out a national leasing policy that will provide a framework and guide future agreements to avoid stalling of projects and revenue losses. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
To agriculture matters now. The Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, is backing establishments of village-based agriculture advisory to help boost agriculture production. Former Ethiopian Prime Minister, who is the current AGRA chair, Haile Mariam Desalegn, says village-based agriculture advisory are key in helping improve training of farmers on the best agriculture practices.
Recycling of old seeds have been blamed for reduced agricultural yields. The Alliance for Green Revolution in Africa, AGRA, said there's need to work with agro-dealers to reduce the distance covered by farmers to access certified seeds from an average of 20 kilometers to about 6 kilometers.
We have to supply them with seeds, necessary seeds, not only seeds, but the seeds that the farmer wants. In most cases, we try to bring seeds which the farmer doesn't like, and they resort back to their traditional seeds.
In addition, AGRA plans to train 500 farmers on modern farming methods and how to reduce the cost of production.
It has to be unlocked so that the farmers can produce and increase their productivity and get appropriate value and price for their produce.
AGRA is also rooting for a village-based agricultural advisory program to train farmers in efforts to boost yields.
We are in discussion with the governors and the Council of Governors for other counties to come and run and start introducing the VBA methodology, because as a country we need to be food secure. We are not yet there, but if we can do the right things, we can very quickly transform our rural areas to become food secure and farmers to get better income.
Under the village-based agricultural advisory program, agro-dealers purchase certified seeds on credit from seed companies and distribute to farmers during the planting season. Benson Rioba reporting for KBC Prime Edition.
And here's to a positive story where, unlike last year when the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted tourist arrivals at the Maasai Mara Game Reserve during the wildebeest migration, the case is different this year. Tourists have started arriving with hotels at the game reserve, setting up COVID-19 testing labs as the high tourism season begins to pick up.
Travel disruptions as countries implemented the COVID-19 containment measures saw fortunes in the hospitality dwindle. Most countries reported more than 40% reduction in tourist arrivals. But as countries open their skies and borders to foreign travel, tourist activities have started to pick up. At the Maasai Mara Game Reserve, hotels have reported increased bookings and arrivals in readiness for the annual wild beast migration.
We have seen quite a number of foreign and local tourism coming up, which is very encouraging, considering last year same time the whole of the Mara and other destinations were all empty due to the outbreak of the COVID-19.
Hoteliers say they have received a good number of domestic and international tourists, mostly from the United States of America, helped by countries embracing COVID-19 vaccination.
We have put up protocols to ensure safety for all our guests, including sanitizing in various areas. Setups in the restaurants have also been, well set to ensure there is distancing, so that everybody who comes in will feel secure.
When tourists arrive at hotels, they're being tested in laboratories set up by hotels to ensure that arriving are free from COVID-19 and adhere to the COVID-19 rules.
Now that we are back, we just urge Kenyans to adhere to the protocols, the COVID protocols, so that we can keep the economy running.
This is unlike last year when the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted tourist arrivals at the Maasai Mara Game Reserve during the World.
The Kenya Revenue Authority is on a mission to raise at least 150 million shillings from the planned two-day auction of unclaimed cargo vehicles. The auction of 314 vehicles and 223 containers slated for tomorrow and Thursday is expected to boost revenue collection and avail storage space. Well, that story is on our website. That is all we have for business today. Sports is coming up shortly after the break.
Jambo jambo, Mombasa mpo. Fursa yenu imewadia. Tarehe 23 hadi tarehe 25 mwezi huu wa Juni, mamlaka ya kudhibiti bima nchini IRA ikishirikiana na serikali ya kaunti ya Mombasa itakita kambi Mombasa katika Open Day ya kipekee kukuhamasisha kuhusu huduma zote za bima. Itakuwa ni siku 3 zilizosheheni mafunzo kemkem kuhusu huduma za bima, haki zako na sheria husika katika bima na mengine mengi. Isitoshe, kampuni za bima na washikadau wengine katika sekta ya bima wakiwemo Retirement Benefits Authority na Capital Markets Authority watakuwepo kutangamana nawe na kukujuza kuhusu huduma zao. Kiingilio ni bure na maagizo yote kuhusu COVID-19 yatazingatiwa. IRA, bima bora kwa taifa.
Ms. Helen Shiri, formerly of Warembo Bila Makeup Rally Team and Head Girl Racing. The moment I'm in organization for this safari rally, I'll be the event secretary. We are really supporting the ladies in the safari, the ones that have entered. I'm hoping they're going to give the men a run for the sport they are better known in. We've really been waiting for this for a long time. We've worked hard on making the preps ready. All we are asking the Kenyans is, if you're not able to come to the spectator stage, you'll be able to follow the whole rally in KBC Channel 1.
I'm reminded how lucky I am to see this, and I'm humbled by their presence.
I hope you're ready for climbing trees.
This is Wildlife Warriors.
Now, good evening. Once again, I'm Richard Munga with the day's sports. Now, a contained number of fans will get an up-close chance to watch the WRC Safari Rally, which is set to begin on Thursday this week, according to Cabinet Secretary for Sports, Ambassador Amina Mohammed. Designated areas have been set up to allow a few fans to get a glimpse of the machines that will be competing in the global event, which returns to the country after a 19-year absence. All fans, however, will still get to watch the event as it will be aired live on KBC television.
Sigh of relief for rally fans who were hungering to watch the WRC Safari Rally up close, after a few selected areas were set to allow a limited number of fans. The allowed-in fans will, however, not be allowed to move to other places, with security beefed up due to the COVID-19 protocols.
I think that the security team has actually been amazing at ensuring that fans have spaces from which they can watch the rally and watch it at quite close quarters. And so that should not be a problem. We're expecting participation by our compatriots. We think that this is a national event. It's a national event, and that people should enjoy it.
It had been announced earlier that no fans will be allowed anywhere close to the rally as a measure to contain the spread of the coronavirus.
These are special cars. I think we showed you the inside of the car. It's built differently. It's meant for a safari rally. It's actually meant for the WRC rallies across the world. And so you cannot try and use your own car, right? Private car, to race as fast as they're doing, or to try and get on their trucks. The routes are completely off limits to each and every one of us.
Cabinet Secretary for Sports Ambassador Amina Mohamed, who made yet another visit to Naivasha, the venue of the event, urged all persons involved in the event to adhere to the set-up COVID-19 protocols.
I hope that we will all be at our best behavior because that's what's going to make the difference. We cannot afford for this to be a one-off. We have the right to 3 rallies, and as soon as we get to the second one, we'll be asking for 3 more, and it will just depend on how we actually carry ourselves during this rally.
Ambassador Mohamed was also impressed with the progress of preparations so far, saying that the country will prove its ability to host not only the World Rally event, but any international sporting tournament.
We have done this before. We can do it again and again and again. So that's not in doubt. We can host as many activities as we get, right? Because you have to bid for this event. And so as many as we can get, we can host. We have the capacity, and I think that we actually have the history of doing it. There should be the capacity is available, the capabilities are there, the people, and our country is a young country. Yeah? And so we have the young people with the energy, the passion to drive these things forward.
The WRC Safari Rally will be held from the 24th of this month to 27th of this month and will be televised live on KBC television and also aired live on Radio Taifa and KBC English service.
Meanwhile, tight security measures have been put in place in all sections of the WRC Safari Rally Kenya, which gets underway later this week in Nairobi. The National Police Service has deployed a multi-agency security team from both land and air ahead of the event. In a press statement, Inspector of Police Hilary Mutembai said more than 1,000 police officers have been deployed to Naivasha to strengthen security during the global event. He said traffic movements will be temporarily affected on the rally route. Action will be live and exclusive on KBC Channel 1 as well as Radio Taifa. Well, that's all the time we have for Sports Night, but always remember, for more of the sports stories and all the updates, you can visit our YouTube page, that is KBC Sport. Well, that does it for me. I'm Richard Munga. Do enjoy the rest of your viewing and the night too, but now I'll be handing you over back to Tom and Purity.
Well, thank you, Richard. We are at the tail end. Before we let you go, some comments?
Absolutely. And of course, we have Kennedy Onyango on the discussion about climate change and forest conservation. Why can't we adopt new technologies and drone to protect and expand our forest? We need master plans for forest conservation in each county and ward. Some of the strategies that he's trying to propose to the Kenya Forest Service. And of course, Wilson Okango tuned in from Naivasha. Thank you for watching. George Shaba, again, thank you. You're saying thank you for talking about climate change, very important at this time. Thank you all for watching. I'm Purity Museo. Lucy Mora has been our sign language interpreter tonight. Good night and God bless.
Well, right here in Nairobi, it's 22 degrees Celsius. That's all for the news this 22nd day of June 2021. My name is Mboya. Good night.
Vera Beauty College.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College, with branches in Nairobi.